What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, here with my album of the week for the week of September 27th through October 3rd, 2024. And this week's album is an album by Bilal, an artist named Bilal, R&B, alternative R&B, kind of, I don't know if cutting edge is the word, but definitely in an R&B spectrum. It's called Just Brightness. Add Just Brightness. I think it's his fifth or sixth. He's had a number of albums. He's written songs. He's a producer. He's been around for like a decade plus. But I read about this album on allmusic.com. It was in their feature new releases. And I read a couple reviews, but I'm pretty sure it was the All Music review that referred to this as acid soul, which great description. Before I'd even heard it, I'm like, okay, definitely have an idea of what that could be. And listening to it, it panned out perfectly. I think acid soul is a perfect description for what this is. But note that it's not psychedelic soul. It's not psych soul. Acid soul, I would say, is a subgenre of psych soul, because psych soul possibly like could be a psilocybin psych soul journey, which I think has a certain amount of warmth and maybe, I don't know if humanity is the word, but like natural connectiveness and nature. And there's a natural harmony to something that could be like a psychedelic soul. Psychedelic soul could be like a late night THC 420 blissful. That kind of could also be psychedelic music. But to me, acid soul has a particular connotation in that it's going to like mess with your mind at times. It's going to entrance you into this like sort of psychedelic world haze, but there's always going to be this edge. There's always going to be this slight, I don't know if uneasiness is the word, but this slight sort of like you're always kind of up and you really can't relax. You want to succumb to the music and the beats and the slight drum and beats energy and drum and bass energy, just the layers of like awesome sort of synth noises and electronic noises that are coming in, occasional acoustic instruments that are dropped, horns that are dropping, or some really convincing, maybe not that convincing, but I think it's horns, pretty convincing, some nice horn sounds that dropped on that last track. So there's elements of warmth throughout the album, but I do think acid soul is the right description because there is this sort of just like almost skittish uneasiness to a number of the songs that just kind of keep you on your toes. Another analogy I came up with in thinking about this album is like there's a sensual element to this. This is R&B. Bilal can sing. Anytime he's never met a vowel he doesn't like if he's singing the word banana, all of those A's are getting lots of love. I mean, it's like banana. Like every vowel is getting some energy and some love. He can sing way better than me. His range is way better than mine. Like I can't sing, this guy can. But it's one of those very fluid, everything's blending together. There's this seductive kind of quality to it. And when he finally drops what I would call clean vocals, like really crisp, pronouncing his words and singing them clearly, like halfway through the album on this awesome song called Lay Around, in which the first half of it sounds like he's laying around and can barely even get up to sing what he's got to do. Musically, it has this just awesome, like, oh, we're just here vibe. And then it drops into this really nice, very clean R&B, but still chill sound in which he's singing each sound. And the contrast is just beautiful. But my point was, there is this seductive kind of sensual element to a lot of this, but it's not like a winter's night in front of a fireplace. It's a winter's night in front of a fake fireplace. You still got central heat. So like you're still warm, and the fireplace it's not the one giving you the warmth, but it's creating the illusion of the warmth, and it's maybe setting up a little more romantic of a scenario. So that's the vibe I get. Like it's still, you could still play this late night if you got lots of energy and don't want to go to sleep. But yeah, it's that kind of like, I don't want to say it's plastic soul, but there is almost a David Bowie plasticity to it in their use of like synth elements and drums and bass and just some of the rhythmic elements. But it's a fantastic album. I referred to Bilal in my notes as a vocal dancer. That really seems like what he's doing. He's taking these lyrics and just like spinning them and twirling them and seducing them with moves across some, sort of dance floor. The first, the way the album is sequenced is fantastic. The first two, kind of three songs that open up the album are three of the shortest, kind of a couple under 2 minutes. One, I think, just over three. Adjust Brightness, Sunshine, and Ever Changing Normal, which only has an E and all the other vowels are not in the title. Prince kind of esque spelling. And that's another thing before I get into the songs. There's a definite sort of through line from like Prince and a lot of phases of his career, his use of sort of electronic beats, his ballady R&B, more seductive elements, through D'Angelo, not as indulging and not as long and just not letting these things simmer as long as D'Angelo would let something simmer, but that kind of R&B vibe, that sort of like, I'm in this genre, but I'm still going to push the boundaries and kind of be myself, kind of that kind of energy. But then there's an embrace of some slight drums and bass energy, a lot more technology and synth stuff, but all to really, really good acid soul effect. The first three songs build up really nicely. Opening Adjust Brightness has this really very like hazy, woozy, electronic, like R&B vibe. There's these like background singers that come in that remind me of certain tracks off Kamasi Washington's The Epic, just this like kind of singing in very big grand style. And then the vocals kind of drop in all woozy and blurry and seductive. It's like 2.5 minutes. It's in and out. We're done. Works perfectly. The second song called Sunshine, you wake up, it's a beautiful day, the sun is shining, you're just in a good mood. Drinking coffee, you're getting a little antsy and amped up. The beats are kind of subtle, but at the same time, there's a lot of really peppy energy in this. Ever Changing Normal, we're kind of slowing it down a little bit, getting a little bit more of a slow jam here, slightly slower groove, maybe slightly more seductive. We still got some really sultry, woozy singing going on. That's pretty awesome. But then we get what I think is the first like big drop of the album. And the first three songs are fantastic. And they're kind of leading you up to song number 4, which is The Story, which just is, it's got a bigger sound. It's got these really nice bass parts that are kind of sparse, but are dropping like at the end of every like 2 bars and just like boom, boom, just providing a lot more of a foundation to what's going on, a lot more of a presence. Like The Story demands your attention in a way that the first 3 songs didn't. The first 3 grab your attention. The Story kind of demands your attention. It's just a really great build up to this song, which has a little more attitude, a little more sway to it, a little more of a soft, sultry groove and less of a just like, I'm relaxed and trying to enjoy myself, but everything's a little bit frantic. That's The Story. Fantastic. Tell Me, we go back and slow things down, a little more of a spiritual vibe. Kind of reminds me of maybe some like post-so Peter Gabriel with some of the like electronic beats and some of the drum machines that are being used. And there's a slightly more like spiritual edge in the way that Peter Gabriel would bring spirituality into some of his like later, more like moodier, slower tracks. A to Z is spelled A, the number 2Z. Kind of sounds like an electronic pop Prince song. I think he must know this. That's why he spells it A to Z, gives it that little pop, that Prince spelling. Lay Around, beginning, like the first, before we get like the transition into the clean R&B, sounds like somebody who's laying around and just like, just very, very that. But then there's a moment where you're like, oh no, get up. There's a reason to get up. Get up and sing. Things become a little get cleaner, a little more like, it's still kind of a chill vibe, but it's a little more direct. And we get to the lyrics, there's this repeated refrain of like, when I get my second wind, like things are going to be better. And so I think the vibe is like, there's a reason I'm laying around, because like we had a good time and I'm a little exhausted, but oh, you want me to get my second win? Oh, you're going to regret that, because when I get my second win, like it's going to be as good as the first time. I think the line is it's going to be better than this first time. A good song. Who We Are Now, things are getting a little bit stranger, getting a little weirder. We're heading back in a little more like trippier area. We drop into a nice comfortable groove, but the intro is very playful, kind of sporadic burst of sounds throughout it. We're getting a little more into the back into the trippier stuff that opened up the album. It's 11 songs total. Quantum Universe, another one of the better songs on this album. I think one of the highlights. It's weird, it's spacey, it's dramatic. You got these vocals that almost sound like they could be like preteen kids singing, or they're just tweaked to have a sort of playful youth vibe about them. It's kind of a weird song. We get some random noise fade out in which some kind of like all like synth noises and stuff are like dropping in to play us out. Just a weird song that kind of matches an idea of a quantum universe and all the random, crazy, chaotic things that could happen in quantum mechanics. I think the title kind of fits the weird, playful nature of the song. Conditional, slow burn, Prince-esque ballad, a little darker, a more serious vibe. The Conditional, I think it's not a good song. This is like we're getting some dark energy. There's a line about like, how long has this been going on? Somebody discovered something they didn't want to discover. The music's getting a little more darker, a little more intense as we get towards the end of the album. But then the last song, Micro Macro, kind of has a bigger, louder, more like we're going to end this on a high note. Got some horns coming in, or some really good sound, some sounds that sound like horns coming in. It's a calmer song, but at the same time, it's a bigger song. It's kind of working both angles at the same time. The production is giving it a big sound, but the energy is still like, we're still kind of chill. We're still kind of grooving R&B wise. Just a good vibe. I really, really, really enjoyed this album. A bunch of albums came out this week that I was interested in, and I kind of checked them out, and I didn't get around to this till like the 5th or 6th album. And I listened to this. I was like, okay, we're going to cycle back to this because this might be the one. I listened to a couple more albums. Like, okay, let's go back to Bilal. Okay, we're going back to Bilal. This is it. This is easily the winner of this week. Some good stuff that came out. But to me, this one is just, it's filling that like Prince D'Angelo slow burn R&B vibe that there's a lot of artists out there doing it, but not with this eclectic, the techno energy, the acid soul vibes. Yeah, and he can sing. He's woozy and all over the place. But Bilal, this guy can sing. I recommend this album. Check it out. It's called Adjust Brightness. Yeah, because the acid soul journey is getting intense. So you better just dim those lights a little bit. Everybody's gonna have a better time. So I don't think he wants you to adjust it to get it brighter, despite how bright the cover is. I think I think it's like, man, just turn it down a little bit, please. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this album. Would love to know if anybody checks it out. Get back to me. It's really, really good. All right, that's what I got for this week. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Let me know if you check this out. And yeah, I'm going to encourage you to go check it out. Peace. Talk to you later.